if I use my hat of a VC priorly, I was pushing our companies to get money with us, helping them to get money from the outside, specifically from the States. Why? Market is not in Quebec. Markets are not in Canada. Markets are in the world. Some cases in California or Boston, and you want to have partners that will help you grow your business. And that's why you should find money from these people. And that's why when I was at Fonds Solidarité, I started investing in outside of Canada funds that was completely against the rules of Solidarity Fund. But I did it because I wanted to have first round capitals types helping our companies by investing in them and growing them, because that was a good opportunity for them to invest and to help the companies.
I would answer that we don't have a money problem, we have a standard problem. And what I would mean by this, Canada is a very difficult environment for foreign investors to come and invest into. We have all sorts of artificial barriers, tax treatment issues, bureaucracy, and other items.
Don't listen to him, it's not true.
Finally, a controversy. Go ahead.
That makes it a fairly hostile environment, and we're trying to patch it up. But I would say that throwing money at it to build a national industry is the wrong approach. We tried that, it failed. Rather, we could learn from the Chinese. Open the floodgates to investment and trade. Let best practices come to your door. And guess what? Next thing you know is the culture of your entrepreneurial ecosystem reflects the best practices on a worldwide basis. And you start to generate interesting returns. And as a result of that, you'll get a natural local environment of venture capital that will develop, that has seen best practices, has seen superior results, and it becomes a virtuous cycle versus the vicious cycle that we have right now. Open the gates to trade and investment. We have the wrong instincts, and I've seen it for far too long.
We should open the borders completely. We have the same type of talents, we have the same types of companies, and now both countries are socialist.
You know, I can't. You know, I know there are people from the government here, and I don't want them to go away with the wrong impression, but I do want to give a bit of a pitch to the National Angel Capital Organization, because a few months ago they organized a really interesting conference call on this issue, on what were the actual implications of the new US-Canadian tax treaty. And the NACO had done a great job in putting together a very illustrious panel of tax experts and tax lawyers. And it was a fascinating hour-and-a-half call. And the encouraging thing for me was that I took away from that call that the entire situation had been much improved, and that for all intents and purposes for angel investors in the States, it was now virtually transparent to make an investment in Canada. And there was really no impediment anymore as a result of this new tax treaty. So there are still some challenges for funds. Funds in the US have to verify the domicile of all of their partners to be able to qualify for this new streamlined treatment. So it's a bit of a pain. But we've made some great progress, and I think we are moving in the right direction.
True.
Other questions?
Become global. Is that on? Yep. Okay. Become global. And I really think that if we put our energy into thinking about how can we help the angel-backed companies we're involved in today becoming global and continuing to put capital, use of funds, for instance, could be only for internationalizing our investments. Forget about the burn. Use of funds is to only go trade shows, hop on plane, go see customers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've been hearing a theme about internationalization, and this is how we're going to help our companies innovate and drive the economy of the future, in my view, and attract capital, which is what this discussion is about. So it's an observation, and you may want to comment on it or not.
It's a great question. Any takers?
I agree, we need to be international day one. And the only way you're international day one is you're excellent on an international basis day one. So we only look at companies that have the potential of establishing their own brand on a worldwide basis.
You know, I was born and raised in Canada, and I live in Canada because I choose to, because I could be anywhere in the world. And because I was born in Canada, I always thought that it was somehow bigger and brighter in Silicon Valley. And I went and worked down in the valley for 2.5 years as a CEO. And I came back, and I've come to the conclusion that as much as I love Canada, the biggest thing that we don't do well as a country is we had this damn national inferiority complex. And we don't think of ourselves as being as good as we actually are. You know, Antoine rattled off 3 companies that he created in the semiconductor area, and Jacques mentioned, as a matter of fact, that, you know, Canadian technology companies know they have to compete internationally. We're actually pretty good at it, but for some reason we don't give ourselves the credit that I think we deserve in being able to compete globally. It's my little rant.
I mean, you're the country that gave the world Webkins and Club Penguin. I mean, that's good stuff.
And blackberries.
And blackberries. But I think that, you know, you mentioned carry both. Taking maybe. You know, I hear similar conversations on a regional level in the U.S. I live in Philadelphia, and if any of you internet historians remember, in '99, there were these things such as Vertical Net and Internet Capital Group and billionaires walking among us, and everyone was getting rich quick and feeling pretty good about themselves. And then the crash came, and everybody hid their head in the sand and went back to work at the big company around the corner. And it is dramatically and markedly different than what they did in Silicon Valley. They took their licks, and they took the team, and they went and they raised money, and with a straight face said, yeah, we lost $10 million for our investors, but here's what we learned, and here's what we're going to do now. And they raised more money, and they got back up, and you know, we're years ahead of, you know, now you're seeing things pick up elsewhere. But I do think that there are some differences in just a state of mind and approach that are there. But I also think it's good to take companies to where they need to be, like whether it's a roadshow to London. And in our world, we last fall took 18 of our portfolio companies to the 4 largest ad agencies in New York, where the dollars are for these, you know, ad-related companies. And we literally put them on the bus and took them from one agency to another holding company, and they met 200 people at a time. And in 2 weeks, we're going to LA and doing the same thing in Hollywood, and we're taking the same batch. And so we're just taking them to where they need to be, and maybe there's some of that required.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time for this panel. I want to thank you all for your participation, and especially thank our panelists for their excellent comments. And I think it's now time for another break. No, another panel. Oh, companies, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, everybody.